Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Eric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
This episode is brought to you by Seven's Boutique, an online shop created by 2 sisters, Angie and Jess, who believe you should walk boldly, dress divinely, and know your significance. At Seven's, you'll find easygoing pieces that are cozy, classy, and made to mix and match. Think relaxed pants, cozy sweaters, and lifestyle sets you'll want to live in. Every item is handpicked with purpose, so you can shop confidently, dress comfortably, and walk boldly. Inventory is small and curated, so if you see something you love, don't wait. Visit sevensboutique.com and use the code PODCAST10 for 10% off your first order. www.sevensboutique.com. Walk boldly, dress divinely, know your significance.
Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where personally, it's nice to be back. I think it's fair to say that we needed a break.
Are we back?
I mean, to a degree. We've had lots of people in the last month and a half that have shared that they miss our podcast weekly. And to you, thank you. We appreciate that. And it is part of, I would say, a bit of a factor in why we're recording an episode. And then 2, I said to Angie about a week ago, I said, now that we've had some weeks off to reflect, we just need a vacation. I kind of miss it.
Yeah, I miss it too, actually. Things happen and I feel like we should do a podcast on that. Or it's kind of our way to document our life and everything that we're going through. And I find myself feeling like there's things I want to share with our listeners. So we definitely are missing it. It is December 10th today.
As we're
recording this.
Which is a big day in our home.
It's a big day. The twins turned 17. It's so crazy. I text them this morning and I'm like, you're about ready to be born 17 years ago. And
my mom always did that.
I actually never do that, but I just happened to look at the clock and it was 9:30. The thing that sticks out to me so much around having twins was when they gave me the epidural and I was like, oh my God, this feels amazing. I just laid there because I couldn't feel anything. And I mean, it was so uncomfortable carrying twins. And I mean, my belly was so tight all the time. My mom was actually even worried about it. I don't know if your belly's supposed to be that tight. I'm like, there's no room for these babies. And, I always had to shove. So I sat like this all the time, pushing Summer's head out of my ribs. So when they gave me the epidural, I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel anything right now. Anyway, it was an easy birth for sure with C-section. So I sent him this text of this is your last year as a kid, and then you're on your own. You get in trouble at 18. That ain't on me. That's on you. It's on you. Anyway, it's December 10th. We have by now not recorded for well over a month.
Yeah.
So we've had a month off. And as we shared, it was I felt, it was more me than Eric. I felt like I need a break. I take on a lot of things and it wasn't feeling like I was putting my full heart and soul into it. And that's just how I roll. If I can't go all in, then I'm not feeling like I'm doing a great job. So we took a break. It was a much needed break too, I would say, because November is horrible. And it doesn't get any easier. We're on year 3. And I think naturally when you're grieving, you think, oh, I should be better. Why am I still having hard days? And the truth is the hard days will always be there. And the first couple weeks of November were extremely difficult. That's the only way I can describe it, because it's like you relive everything. And so you just know what's coming. You're going to have to go through all of the trauma and everything that we went through in those couple days and the aftermath. And you protect yourself. You gear up. You're like, oh my gosh, I skin starts crawling. I know I'm going to have to walk through this. And you try to create like a safe space inside of you, I think, to try to protect yourself because it is so incredibly painful.
I can literally see this be in year 3. I can see the switch go on when it happens for her, like when all of a sudden the armor starts to come out, the dark thoughts start to come in. And I actually had counseling today. I was just talking about how I felt like I'm still imperfectly handling the month of November, but I was very cognizant this November that it was a grieving month, that I can't fix it, that I could probably steer clear from time to time to give Angie space. And so again, I am well aware that I'm still not perfectly handling all these things, but I also felt like for me personally, I knew what to expect. And I think that's just part of the grief process is I know, okay, it's November. I have to give Angie more space than I normally would. I have to just try to show up. How do I show up for her? And for me, it's like any basic errand I could run for her or things like that so that she could grieve was kind of how I was trying to handle the month. And then I was doing a lot of working. I worked out more in November than I have in a long time because that's how I chose to handle my grief during year 3 was just I would be angry and frustrated and miss Hallie. And so I would turn to a lot of working out.
I think for me, I'm always trying to think about like, how do I put purpose in this? And one thing early in November that was heavy on my mind that just kept coming back is just write a letter to God. Like just write him a letter. And I think it was probably the second week of November, I sat down in just the middle of a day and wrote a letter to God, which I ended up sharing on social media on November 27th. But I encourage you to do that. There is something about writing it out. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like write it down. I typed it out. But like seeing the words written or typed out and getting it down out of your head and written down somewhere is therapeutic because it's a moment in time that you're capturing and you're capturing your emotions and what you are going through. And then when you share it, you're giving other people permission to do the same thing. You're sharing vulnerability, and that also enables other people to be vulnerable. And, you know,
I will be really honest with you. Like I was using the word vulnerability earlier today. And to me, when people are vulnerable with you, when I'm walking with men, when Angie and I actually are vulnerable with each other, that's when I feel the closest to people. Like when you're willing to let down your guard and share something that's super personal and really bothering you with me, I've learned, I hope 9 out of 10 times that I'm not judging you about that I have this heart of God that's like, God, I've been there. I see you. Thank you so much for trusting me with that. I just really, I feel so much closer to you now that you've been vulnerable in that regard.
And so it's a great conversation. That is for you to feel close to me, right?
Oh, for you talking about me and you now.
Yeah.
We switched gears. All right. Sorry. I'm slow sometimes. I missed the uptick on that.
You literally were just talking about you and I.
Oh, I was talking about like people in general that I come in contact with.
No, you said, rewind. You said when you share stuff with me, that makes me feel closer when you are vulnerable and share what's bothering you.
Yes, but I also meant just people in general.
Correct.
Like, sorry.
But
okay.
Now I'm going to give you the lens of deep, deep grief. There is something sacred about feeling the lowest of lows and allowing yourself to feel all of that in the space of protection. And that doesn't mean I'm trying to keep you from it. I'm not willing to share with you, but feeling that depth is so like private and sacred. It's not that I'm worried about being judged. It's like my way of processing it and giving it what it deserves. And that's like my time and attention in that quiet space. That's how I when I'm gearing up for something and I go inward, it is like a sacred thing. I don't know how else to describe it. It does not help me to like sit down and talk about it all. It's like I go inward and I think, how am I going to get through this? What can I do to heal? I talk to God. I talk to Hallie. I do all these things. And sometimes that's so deeply personal that it doesn't warrant anybody else being a part of that. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
But that's where I write. Like I have to go to that sacred spot and really be in tune with what I'm feeling, and there's no noise. And that's how I process it. And so even in this scenario, I wrote that letter to God, but also I was thinking about like, how do I honor Hallie? Like, what would Hallie want me to do to honor her? And that was like, duh, go to the barn. And so we ended up the weekend before her angelversary, which we could probably dive into that word too. But anyway.
One, can I just say this is why I'm glad the podcast is back. I found this to be incredibly interesting conversation that we just had that we haven't had on Wednesday evenings because we haven't been doing the podcast. So that was really intriguing and interesting. And I'm glad that we went there, even though it wasn't in the script. So.
Yeah. So I decided like, I'm going to invite people to the barn to see Phoenix. There's a lot of people that have not seen Phoenix, the horse that I have to honor Hallie. And if people wanted to ride her, they could ride her. And it was so freaking good for my soul. It's sad and it's hard, but I just left there with a little bit of joy that I'm like, Hallie would have really liked that. My mom got on Phoenix. It's so funny. She's deeply afraid of him too. We kind of tricked her a little bit. We're like, just sit on the horse. We just want to take a picture. Like, just get up on the horse. She did. She got up on Phoenix, and then we're like, no, we're going to walk you around. And she did so good. And it was like, Hallie would have loved that so much. And it's just all these little things that you are living for her. So many people got on Phoenix, and Phoenix did so good. But I would say my favorite part was Summer getting on Phoenix, because Summer used to ride a lot with Hallie. And I mean, Hallie's horse was right by our house years ago. And there's so many times she'd be like, Summer, go with me to the barn, or Chase, go with me to the barn. And they'd go with her, and Hallie would put him on the horse and let him, ride around. And the one thing that was so funny that Summer said was, wow, Mom, I didn't realize how much blind trust I had with Hallie. Because she's like, I did so much with horses and I was not afraid. Like, I 1,000% trusted her. And I did too, because I never worried about the kids getting hurt or anything. I just knew Hallie, knew what she was doing, and 1,000% trust. Anyway, it was so beautiful because she hadn't been on a horse since she was probably young on Hallie's horse years ago. And she rode like a boss. She got on there like she was a natural. And she later was like, I think I need to get some jeans and like cowboy boots. She's like, am I going to be a cowgirl? Of course, she wants the whole outfit. But anyway.
You can't pretend. You got to be a real cowgirl.
Yeah,
you
got to get
can't
the
be
jeans.
A pretend one for sure.
So I did take her shopping, and she bought her first, let's be real, I bought her first pair of Kimes jeans, which is what a brand Hallie loved. And her and I are going to start doing some lessons together. And it was just cool to see her older and make that choice. And like I was telling her, I'm like, Summer, think about this. Like, this is our one thing that we can carry on through our family that's connected back to Hallie, is the horse. Like, you're going to have kids one day and they're no idea who Hallie was. And by this one horse, people will get to experience what Hallie loved. And that is why that all happened with Phoenix. I mean, it solidified it that day when I saw Summer ride. I'm like, this is why I had it on my heart to carry out her dream of having a foal and raising it and training it. And then we were led to the one that she already had her first dibs on. I mean, that's why. It's because it's the gift to keep carrying out the one thing that she absolutely loved. So anyway, that's why that space is sacred, is because I can really get connected back to purpose. And that helps me walk through the darkest times.
Well, do you
That
want
was
to
a little
read?
bit of a rant.
It was good. We want to read your letter?
Yes, I do feel like it was a nudge from God, like, sit down and talk to me. So here's what I wrote. God, it's me again. As you know, it's been 3 years since you welcomed Hallie home. And honestly, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be sitting here writing this at all. So thank you for carrying me this far. I still don't know how you've done it, but you've given me a strength I never knew existed inside me. You and I have talked a lot these last few years. Maybe talked isn't even the right word. More like begging, pleading, screaming, crying, whispering, or just saying, please help me. I've spoken to you more in these 3 years than in my previous 45, and that's on me. I'm sure that was your point all along. I used to think I was in control, and in a single devastating moment on November 27th, you showed me just how wrong I was, how naive, how unaware of how fragile and uncontrollable this life truly is. Truthfully, I think I was starting to see that even before. That April in church, when I tried to hand everything over to you, I remember saying, here, take this worry from me. I can't hold it anymore. I was terrified for the road ahead for Hallie, and I really tried to trust you with it. But then, 7 months later, she was tragically taken from us. And yes, I did have that moment of what the freaking heck, God. Is this what trusting you looks like? Losing her? But even in the middle of the heartbreak, the shock, the devastation, somehow I knew you saved her. Somehow I knew she was with you. Somehow I knew she was whole. So thank you for all the signs you send to remind me she's okay and still with us. That quiet reassurance that your plan is bigger than anything we can comprehend. The reminder that this life is short, teaching me that I can trust you even when I don't want to or it's painful to try. And thank you for my friends and family who have held me up when I couldn't stand on my own. Please give Hal a kiss from her mama and tell her to have the day she deserves with you, living her brightest, freest, most beautiful life, the one she always deserved. And tell her I can't wait to see her again. And God, as I continue walking this road without her, please keep lifting me up, because this journey isn't getting easier. The grief changes, but it does not let go. So guide me and steady me and keep filling me with purpose, even on the days when I feel empty. Help me live a life that honors you, honors her, and honors the strength you keep placing in me. Talk soon. Hallie's mom. But P.S. Thank you for answering Hallie's prayers when she was 7, asking for a brother and a sister. I don't know what I would do without Chase and Summer. This was the very last pic taken together.
It's beautiful.
And it just ties into, like, today's their birthday and so many gifts that God has given me. I mean, last night we celebrated their birthday with the crew, and it was so much fun. And I just think that is such a freaking gift. Like, I don't know what me and Chase and Summer would do without the crew, without you, without the other kids, with Carter, Dane, Lexi. Like, when they're all together, it's just so much more. I watched them all sit around the table and eat dinner last night, and then they were all in this circle talking, and it's almost like they are creating their own world together, and we get to take on a different role where you kind of sit back and can consult with them when they need it. But like, we're starting to get away from like having to parent, and it's such a beautiful thing to witness.
I've noticed the last several times we've had dinner for any event is that they all gather around our family kitchen table, which was our family table for so long, and they just leave us out of it.
There's no spots for us.
And it's fine because they've added significant others, right? And it's fun. It's because Angie and I stand back and we just watch them interact. And now that they're all high school and above, it's like they now yes, are they still going to have an argument? They're siblings. But last night there weren't any. And it's been getting less and less. Like, they're at ages where, yes, there's still an age gap, but that age gap has shrunken to where they are getting along and laughing together and asking each other for advice instead of us. And we know that they're talking on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Throughout the day when we're not around, like about each other's boyfriends, girlfriends, this, that, the other. So yeah, it's that part of what we created so many years ago is getting really exciting and fun to watch. And when we get out of the grief and have the moments of joy, those are the moments of joy because all those kids are together. Now, I got in bed last night and you said that was fun. It was. And in my mind, I thought, but we didn't have Hallie. That was the next thought in my head before I went to sleep was we didn't have Hallie. So that part of it is part of the grief journey of like,
it's this constant yin and yang, like it's gratitude and it's grief. And over time they exist together and you let that grief weigh you down. And then you also have gratitude and it's learning that dynamic. I've crossed paths with some moms recently and everybody's grief is a little bit different and how they experience it and the things that they do. There's all very similar patterns, but then there's always everybody's own sort of unique spin on how they navigate grief. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like there's no path of like, this is how you're supposed to do it. You do what you can to navigate it and figure out this dance between gratitude and grief. And we're all going to be there. I mean,
nobody's getting out alive. Okay. That's the thing about this earth. We're all going to go through grief because we're going to lose someone that's close to us.
And I just lost my godmother, Judy. And, when I actually wrote this podcast probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, she was still with us and she just passed away yesterday, early in the morning. And, her and I have a very close connection for a lot of reasons, but she's my godmother. She never had kids and her husband, Kenny, are just like super special people, boss woman, boss lady, like all the things. I looked up to her so much. I had spice to her. Like when she was passionate about something, she was going to tell you about it and was definitely not a pushover, but
feels like you got some of those qualities from her.
I did like hanging out with her. She was there so intertwined in losing Hallie. She was the one that called me. And I'll never forget her saying those words to me. And it's like we were trauma bonded there. And then she came to the hospital to see Hallie. And I mean, there's just so much irony in all of this because on Thanksgiving, there's like so many things I want to tell our listeners because we've had this gap.
We spent Thanksgiving this year at Judy's. She was on hospice. And so, had her bed there and we gathered around her and we had a lunch and we visited for several hours. Angie brought her a Christmas tree and put it up. And
well, so this year, the day Hallie was shot falls on actual Thanksgiving. So on the 27th, it's like, here's this marker. We have the 2 dates, the 3 dates, really. I mean, you have the date it happened, you have the day you spent with her, the whole day, and then the next day is the day you let her go. And I told you like a month or 2 ago, I'm like, we usually don't have our kids on Thanksgiving. They go to the other families because to me, the holidays, the day of, I don't make a big deal about it. What I care about is time with them. So if I get time with them the day before, I don't care that on the Thanksgiving, they're with other people. Anyway, I told you, like, I want to go volunteer somewhere. I want to do something that day. Like, I want to honor Hallie and find purpose. I don't want to not do anything, but I want to do something meaningful. And then fast forward, Judy is on hospice. And so I'm like, I'm bringing her a tree because no one's going to get out her Christmas decorations or anything like that. I'm going to bring her a tree. So I went to Hobby Lobby, bought a new tree, ornaments. Couldn't decide if I should do a frosted one or if I should do a green one. And I just tried calling my mom. She didn't answer. So I just did the frosted tree and got white and tan ornaments. And we went there and spent an incredible amount of time with her and had great conversations. And we talked about Hallie. And the one memory that stands out to her is that when she came to the hospital to see Hallie, I was laying in bed with her. And they came in and I told her, I said, you can hold her hand because everyone does this. It's like, you don't know what to do and you don't know if you should touch him or not touch him. And I said, hold her hand. She goes, well, I didn't put hand sanitizer on. And I just looked at her. I said, it doesn't matter. And we talked about that on Thanksgiving. She's like, I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget what you said. You said it doesn't matter. And she's like, it didn't matter. And she's like, I'm so glad that I held her hand. And then she ended up telling me that she said, I'm afraid to die. But I feel like I'm dying, but I don't want to die. And Kenny was sitting on one side of her and I was sitting on the other side of her. And I said, I know, but we are all going to be there. It's just at different times. Some people beat us there. Hallie's already there waiting for us all. And we're just all going to be there. And it's an amazing place we can't even imagine. Anyway, it's just how things happen, and the irony of it all is that exactly 3 years later, that's going to be the last conversations that I had with her, because after that, then when you spent time with her, she couldn't say anything.
Real quick to our listeners, what kind of tree had she always wanted?
Oh, yeah. So she told my mom after we had left that night, that she always wanted a white tree with white ornaments. I had no idea. And I would just tell everybody, like, if there's one thing you hear from me, is that we are all connected in this universe. Like, no one will ever convince me otherwise. Like, something was tugging on my heart to write that letter to God. Something was tugging on my heart to go get the white tree. I mean, listen to the voices and where you feel like you're being called to. We didn't commit to volunteering on Thanksgiving.
We looked into it. I called around,
never found a spot. We have a lot of answers within. Like, God is, to me, in your heart and soul. He's just waiting for you to tune into him and listen to him.
And a lot of times that happens not a lot of times, all the time, that happens in the quiet. It's very much taught that Satan is in the noise, right? So the devil's in the noise trying to like drown out our messages from God. And so the more you can sit and pray and be in the stillness and the quiet, the more I think it allows us the opportunity to hear when God's leading us in a certain direction. Are you going to feel that all the time? No. My pastor sometimes will say to me, he's like, Eric, did you actually hear God say? I'm like, no, Dave, I didn't hear that, but I just felt pulled to do X, Y, and Z. And so I do think that those things happen when you're really listening and open to God speaking into our hearts. It happens all throughout the Bible. So it's not crazy to think that God can, use the Holy Spirit or however he wants to communicate with us in that way.
Yeah. And I would say too, like, love that you receive, love that you give to those that have gone before us. Like, that love, like my love for Hallie and for Judy, like, that never stops. Like, when someone passes away, you don't stop loving them, and they don't stop loving you either. We've had a few signs. I know everyone likes to hear about our signs from Hallie, but it just, it always, it doesn't surprise me, but it always surprises me. And so, November, like we've said, has been such a hard month, but people that are like close to me or like think about Hallie a lot, it's somehow they'll get signs too. And so I was having a super hard morning, laying in bed, did not want to get up.
The day before Thanksgiving.
Yes. And I don't know why I do this. I think maybe it's healing. I don't know. But like, anytime you've been through trauma, like, I replay it. I think about it. And I think, to me, in my mind, it's better to do that than to completely block it out. Mm-hmm. I think that's unhealthy, but maybe not replay it as much as I do. But I'm laying in bed and I'm replaying the helicopter landing and all of those things. And I get a text from one of my really close friends and said, I was having Friendsgiving that night and had invited her over. And she's like, I'm at the gym and I just got an incredible sign from Hallie. Just know that she is with you. And I'm like, I'm literally laying in bed crying right now. And so she came to my house that night. She's like, okay, here's what happened. She's like, I'm working out and they're playing 80s.
Yeah, because the lady always played it to teacher class. It was always this 80s playlist.
80s music. And she's like, I'm working out in kind of the singles area versus the group. And she's like, in my mind, I was thinking about like, should I reach out to Angie now or just I'll see her tonight and I'll give her a hug. But I'm just like thinking about her. And she couldn't decide if she should do that or not. And then the music gets interrupted with a song. In the middle of the song that was playing, gets interrupted with Gwen Stefani's Holler Back Girl.
Yeah, Holler Back Girl. There ain't no Holler Back Girl.
Yeah.
This is bananas. Bananas.
That song.
So I learned how to spell it. I'm kidding.
That song. And the funny thing about that, the irony of it, first of all, it's not an 80s song. So how that
And
happened.
then the instructor was like, what is happening with my music?
Who changed the music?
Yeah.
Who messed with it? And no one had messed with it. But my bestie, her memory of Hallie is when Hallie was little, she would sing that song all the time. I think a lot of kids did because it's like catchy.
Very catchy.
Only Hallie never had the words right. She always said, I ain't no holla fat girl instead of a holla bat girl. And so she was like, I could not freaking believe it that was the song that came on, because that's like her core memory of Hallie with that song. And so she would immediately text me because she was like, oh, that means I'm supposed to text her. And it was like the timing and irony of it all. That is a God wink. Like that is God tugging on your little heartstrings to guide you in a certain direction. The other thing I would say is that this was the first time that Chase was hunting by himself in a deer stand. The last time that they spent time together was hunting all weekend. And so Chase messaged me Saturday morning, opening day. It is like everyone is sweating in the deer stand.
It was warm that
it
weekend.
Was extremely warm that weekend.
Which is not good deer hunting weather if you don't know anything about the sport. Yeah.
It's not good. So I didn't see anything Saturday morning. Saturday night, he sends me the Snapchat, and there's this most obnoxious bird sound. I don't know what kind of bird it was or what, but he sends me a snap of the sound. He's like, oh my God, this bird is so annoying. Of course, I'm cracking up immediately. And I snap back and I'm like, I bet your sister is dying laughing right now that you're trying to hunt. And there's this obnoxious bird making this crazy noises. Anyway, then a little bit later, he FaceTimes you and Eric and I, and he had just shot a 10-point buck. First of all, super warm. Second of all, they typically don't get deer like that on the farm. Like some farms are loaded with deer. This one's not. And it came right out by itself, and he dropped it in the field. Takes a picture of it and has the most epic sunset behind this deer.
Beautiful.
It's crazy. And I told him later, I'm like, that was probably your sister with that obnoxious bird sound to wake your ass up. Make sure you're paying attention because a deer's coming. He goes, I didn't think that. But he said there was a turkey out there by itself right before that deer. And he goes, I did think that maybe that was her. But anyway, it was just such a great memory, I think, for him for the first time hunting by himself. And then he gets a nice deer. So I just have to believe like she was definitely with him.
So some good moments of signs from Hallie, which she always sends us, which are needed signs, because being a blended family, it adds a layer to the grief. Everyone feels loss differently. Obviously for Angie, Chase, and Summer, it's a deeper loss probably than for myself and Lexi, Carter, and Dane. I said to Angie this year, I go, this is kind of crazy, but this year begins, I knew Hallie for 3 years before she died. And now we've hit 3 years since we lost her. And so for the rest of time will be more time that I didn't know Hallie. And the same with my kids. And so some days we all still struggle. Some days we're just this beautiful, blessed, chaotic mess, trying to make sense of everything with Hallie not here. But we keep choosing each other. We choose to honor her. And I don't know. I think some of the moments of joy are when we're together as a family, which doesn't happen as much because the kids are older. Right?
Yeah. We have to be more focused and plan time together. Otherwise, it just doesn't happen. So like longer ago, I knew November was going to be hard. And so I'm like, we should all like go to a Chiefs game. Like that would be something everybody would enjoy doing together. And so we ended up doing that. And Dane couldn't go because he was on a trip with a friend. But that was such a fun day. And I think everybody just grew a little bit closer and connected through that shared experience. But then there's also times that I want to be by myself. And Thanksgiving Day, when we came back from visiting Judy, I'm like, I think I just want to go like sit in the hot tub for a little bit by myself. And I went and sat out there and just in the silence to just try to revive myself a little bit. So grief looks different for everybody. I know we've been talking about that for a long time. So if you're listening, if you're new to the podcast, new to grief, just be gentle on yourself. I think your grief's valid. It's your timeline. No one else gets to tell you you should be okay by now. You don't have to pretend all the time. You can take the mask off. And I still have my grief group, and we have a lot of very similar thoughts and experiences. And we know that about each other, but it's also still, there's something about getting together and saying things out loud that also is another way to kind of validate. And, you can love God and have this amazing relationship with God and also be mad at him at times and also deeply hurt and miss person. I think just because God is part of our lives doesn't mean that this life's going to be easy. And I think the way to navigate that is to find that purpose. And that looks different for everybody.
I think just on that, like somebody recently was talking to me about how felt like they're not supposed to be mad at God. And I've heard that from other people. And I think that's completely invalid. I mean, biblically, God created us to be in his image. He gave us these emotions to utilize. Jesus, at the end of his life, prayed in agony to God to take the cup, remove the cup from him. And so a lot of emotions that you can take out on God. We once had a counselor tell us God has got big boy pants, like he can take it. And I believe that's true. And it actually probably allows us to be more vulnerable and honest and transparent with God, which is what I think he really wants from all of us, is for us to give ourselves to him. I think he would rather us be mad at him. This is my own personal thinking. If you're upset by it, fine. You're okay to be upset with me for saying this. I think God wants us sometimes to be mad at him because he would rather that we care and engage him than for us to have zero feelings towards him. Oftentimes said God is an angry God in the Bible, for he's a jealous God for our hearts. And so when we are angry back at him, it's because we do want that relationship with his heart. And so I think that can be positive in that regard. So in saying all of that, we do want to wrap. It was great to be with you in this way. We do want to say thank you for Hallie. Angie's got her sweatshirt. We all got new sweatshirts.
Yes.
Jesse did that.
I forgot. That was something else I wanted to say. So on the Thanksgiving gathering with my family, which would have fell on the actual day that we lost Hallie, I walk in and everybody is wearing this Hallie sweatshirt that Jesse had made. And mine is a little bit different. Mine on the sleeve says, "Don't worry about me, Mama. I'm going to be okay," which was the last thing that she said live to me. And everybody else's says, "Forever loved, always missed,
forever loved."
And forever loved. And just such a sweet, thoughtful, intentional gift to just see everybody saying Hallie's name, wearing a sweatshirt with her name on it. So if you're trying to support someone that's grieving, little things like that are so meaningful. She also made
a tablecloth
that she asked everybody for their favorite saying or favorite thing about Hallie. And she made this tablecloth with all these different words on it. It was so cool.
She spent a lot of time on that. She was updating me throughout the process, sending me pics. And I was like, Jesse, you're such a good sister. You were such a great aunt.
Yes.
You
oh my gosh.
worked so hard to keep Hallie's memory alive. She had reached out to me and all the kids. She had all these different sayings that we remembered and loved about Hallie. And then she made this beautiful tablecloth with it. It was really cool. So
just say their name. Say their name. If you don't know what to do, one thing you can do is to say the person's name.
So with that, we do thank you for Hallie. Lord, we thank you for the love that she brought into this world, the love she's still bringing into the world. And I just pray today for everybody listening, if you're carrying grief, it's the holidays. They are not always a happy time of year for people. For us, it's a heavier time of year. Lord, I ask you to wrap those folks and ourselves in your comfort. Surround them with signs of their loved ones. Give them strength when they feel empty. peace when they're feeling overwhelmed, and also a purpose when they can't see the road ahead. Walk with us, God. Lift us when we fall, and remind us that love never ends. You never end. Amen. Thank you for joining us for Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. We've really enjoyed it. Hope you have too. Have a wonderful week. God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.